welcome back to the NutriMedical Report with Freeman. And, of course, Freeman, you're very popular when you come on the program. We have you on at least twice a month because some of the perspectives you have really do transform people's way of looking at the world. And the worldview is part of the solution. If you don't have a transformation of your worldview, you can't figure out what is happening and why. Please tell us more about all these blue things.
Well, people need to catch up, definitely. They think that they're still living in the 1940s, and in some ways that's the truth. You know, we are moving into what I think is another world war. What I've been looking at is the blue beam, blue brain, blue book connection. And what we've got going on right now, and Avatar is a perfect example of this in the media mainstream, the new movie, which has to do with mind uploading technology and cloning.
Right, and of course Ray Kurzweil, one of the leading transhumanists, lots of different patents, by the way. This is a very smart man. Anti-aging is coming, and of course one of the things that he's pushing is the idea that you can translate your human consciousness and then put it literally as an avatar into another being, whether it's transhuman, meaning like a hybrid of these humanoids from this planet Pandora with human DNA, or a human transhuman where they've uploaded genes from various animals. And we're on the verge of this. I mean, the fact is, and in secret and underground facilities around the world, transhumans exist today. Not in some movie studio in a lot in Los Angeles or one of the other studio lots up in Burbank, but in actual reality.
And when you take the name of the creatures that they had on the planet Pandora, the Na'vi, and you bring that over to the Tarot, into the Kabbalistic explanations, Na'vi equals death lovers. And that's what it would be in a Tarot sense, Na'vi, which goes to 6 and 13, which takes you 6 being the Christ number and 13 the goddess. So we're back to her hermaphroditic symbol and just the simple name of the Na'vi race that they are cloning.
This is interesting. It's coming out at the same time as the Green Agenda of Copenhagen, just weeks before. And the announcement of this movie, which is talking about these evil, vile humans that want this precious mineral below this sacred tree in their forest of their world, Pandora. So give us some more insight, please.
Okay, well, in the concept of the mind uploading or mind transferring technology, this is something MIT's been working on, and one that I've been following is Henry Markram, who runs the Blue Brain Project in Switzerland. Now, as he was discussing, and I found it curious that his technology failed him as he was giving his lecture, but the Blue Brain Project is trying to recreate a rat brain, which brings me back to Battlefield Earth with John Travolta and L. Ron Hubbard. But they need 500 petabytes. Now, a petabyte is 1,000 terabytes, so we're looking at 1 million megabytes. To 500 petabytes to be able to create a rat brain. And then hopefully a human brain as they move up the spectrum. Well, the thing is that Henry Markram with his Blue Brain Project is consistently saying that he needs $1 billion to get the computer technology to be able to do this. But when we realized that CERN had created this fiber optic direct line called the grid, and the grid has coupled 200,000 computers together to make a new World Wide Web, as it were, although not for public consumption.
You're talking about the supernet. In other words, we're not talking about the World Wide Web the public knows about. We're talking about the grid, which is 100 megabytes, 100,000 megabytes or a terabyte per second transfer rates through the supergrids, through fiber optic networks laid around the world.
And so when we find out that the grid was moving from petabytes to exabytes, now exabytes, when you realize how large this is, it's 1 quintillion bytes. And so basically all the printed material in the world would only take up 5 exabytes, or 5 billion gigabytes. And we're seeing the grid move to this level, to 5 billion gigabyte spectrum. That just opens the door for AI technology and the creation of the human brains and mind transferring technology. So when many people aren't watching is CERN with the grid.
They can create a sort of simulation of mind transfer, but here I'm going to give some information that's, if you want to call it spiritually or otherwise classified. And you mentioned this before the show. The Vatican has agreed to the idea with CERN to look for what's called the astral or the spirit particle. This is beyond the Higgs boson, which is the God particle. And they know that, for example, the higher dimensional planes are real worlds. In other words, above the dimensional planes of the fifth dimension, there are the sixth, seventh, right up to the seven dimensions of spirituality. That is, we call the dimensions of negentropy, or the dimensions of order. In other words, the spirit dimensions literally imprint and create order within the dimensions of chaos that we exist in, our physical bodies here, the five lower dimensions. And if they can get the technology, you see, people know this if they had a near-death experience. There's a thing called connecting you. It's in the Bible. It's called the silver cord. And in fact, what you notice is if you die and go down the tunnel of light, there's a silver cord that looks like a neon cord. It's actually made from these astral particles that actually connects your physical body through the pineal gland and the basal nuclei directly to your spirit body, which is your mind or soul. This is reality. This is the way you are made, okay? And what they need to do is literally unplug it like a USB cord and plug it into something else. And that's what they're talking about, right? They're not just talking about making a simulated you by transferring your behaviors and your past information or knowledge into another creature. Because that's almost like the idea of beaming you. But in order to beam you, they have to completely consume or destroy you and just recreate a simulation of you in another place. What they want to do is actually transfer the consciousness of the soul from one avatar or body, whether it's genetically engineered or hybridized, to another body, and therefore you will literally, have endless life.
Yeah, this was initially announced by Pravda, which of course is a KGB propaganda arm, but the Russian newspaper Pravda announced that they would be able to transfer your soul, they put in quotes, essence into an e-body or an electronic body that you could walk on the bottom of the ocean or onto another planet. When they announced this, they were saying that they had just moved into the ability to bring this about and would be able to transfer your soul via radio frequency waves, which, of course, when we start looking at things like Sura, HARP, or the IceGat facilities, we're looking at the possibility, if you guys remember, the IceGat was used to send a Doritos commercial off to Alpha Centauri. So we're talking about the possibility of transferring yourself into another solar system.
Yeah, that's pretty strange stuff, but people might find this far out, but the level of science and technology is eons ahead of anything that people can imagine, let alone understand. So we'll be back in a moment to the NutriMedical Report. I guess we've talked about this, Freeman. The real issue is, if you wanted to divide it, not on political or religious or other lines, it is the hivers and the non-hivers. The hivers are these, the best term would be the transdimensional Draco-reptilian serpents of hell, the Nephilim, who want to hive us all, just like the movie Star Trek, and the non-hivers want to reinforce the fact that we're created independent and autonomous spirit beings inhabiting or connected to fleshly bodies in the lower dimensional planes, working out and understanding the nature of what we are and our Creator. And the powers that be, the PTB, are all occultists that run every government, every religion, every organization, every university. Basically, the entire control matrix of even all education is run by these hivers, these beings that have invaded, in a sense, our world, just exactly like the Bible says, that they've come down to us, and woe to earth, and you see, for the devil and his minions have come down. The masters of the Lord of Chaos himself, Lucifer, the one who says he's the light bringer, in fact, brings darkness and control, and brings his version of order out of chaos, when the only order that can come out of chaos has to come from the higher spiritual realms and reflect the glory of the Creator God. And that's what the problem is, that people don't understand this. The religions don't understand it. They don't understand that our technology is getting to the point where Ray Kurzweil's idea of simulated transfer of human consciousness, of creating artificial cybernetic minds, of transhumanism, is very real. It's not just an Avatar movie that's an interesting 4D flick there on your big IMAX theater screens. These things are coming at us at an enormous pace. In fact, the government's called NIBC, Nano Information Biocogno Program 2020, which is only now 10 years away, plans to have cybernetic armies that are wired directly to battlefield matrices or transhuman warriors that you literally don't want to see, because these are right out of the bowels of hell. A female template with genetics transferred from animals, wired and covered with nanotech body armor, and their thoughts directly connected to actuating weapon systems, even from satellites or remote-operated drones. So people say they can't do it. Well, let's put it this way. Just wait, and you're going to find out the hard way.
That's very true, and I think we're getting very close to that point. I think World War III is imminent. What I'm looking at right now, and a lot of this goes back to William Bramley's book, The Gods of Eden, and he discusses the custodial gods, as they were, the Nephilim, and how their religions have spread throughout time, and how they are used to bind the soul to the body, and that is part of the method of what they are doing, is trying to convince the mind to agree that it is part of the body.